So I'm going to start off.
So I think one of the things that, to continue on what Kyogo-san was talking about expanding the freedom, Animal Crossing has always been a series about freedom. You could choose to spend your time however you want, fishing, collecting bugs, pulling weeds, but I think we're going to see here is how much that has been expanded.
And I love everything about their outfits. They're ready for island life. Tom Nook and Timmy and Tommy look so ready to go.
And they're talking about E3. The line between the real life and Animal Crossing life is blurring even further.
So Tom Nook & Co., this time around, they have a development company called Nook Inc. And then the player is set to be relocating to the island through Nook Inc.'s Deserted Island Getaway Package. And then Timmy and Tommy also have a store in there, too.
It's definitely a bold new business plan. I like it. Even when they're in a beautiful tropical setting, they're thinking about the business. And before we kick off exploring too much, can we talk a little bit about what we're seeing right here?
So this is where your island life starts. This is the tent that you'll get, and then we decided to pitch it on the beach. So this is how it looks inside the tent. And then we only have bare minimums that Tom Nook gave us at the moment.
I think that's key. He really did only provide you with the bare minimum here.
And this time around, just like Happy Home Designer was, you're able to move the furniture in half units around the buildings. And then so I think this will allow you to have more versatility in home decoration.
And worth mentioning here, so we're not at the very beginning of the game. It's early, but when you start, there's not even a tent there.
For the furniture, I think many of you have noticed in the video, but you can also place them outside on the field. And then not just the furniture, but also the tent itself. You're able to place them on the beach. This was something that you couldn't do in New Leaf, but we're able to do that. So there are two main elements that I want to show you. One, both of them are something that you saw in the video. One of them is the DIY recipes, and then the other one is being able to put furniture outside. So since we're here at E3 at Treehouse Live, I think I want to make that as a goal and then start doing that right now.
Sounds great.
So this is a smartphone called NookPhone that I got from Tom Nook. And then there's a DIY recipes app. So I'm going to browse around and look for something that I want to make. And then these DIY recipes include everything from tools to furnitures. And you can use a lot of the materials that you can find around the island. So since we came to a deserted island, there's a lot of weeds growing around on the island, but those things can also become a material. So I want to make this log bench, but in order to make the log bench, I need some hardwood. So I am going to first make this axe.
So I wonder if, as we're looking around here, can we just take a look at the up in the sky, because it really is a beautiful day.
So I think a lot of the Animal Crossing fans already know this, but the game clock is actually linked to the real time. So the seasons and the time of the day, it changes according to the clocks that you live in. And until the previous titles, we only had the game set in northern hemisphere, but from New Horizons, we have a southern hemisphere as well, so the users can play in the southern hemisphere atmosphere as well. So right now, since it is June, and it's set to June in northern hemisphere, but if you have it set to southern hemisphere, then it'll be in winter.
It's really cool, I think, being able to give players that flexibility. So if you live in the southern hemisphere and you want the seasons and things, the weather to kind of match more like what you're experiencing in real life, you can have that choice. And we got lucky here, I think, that the weather is so good for the stream, because you never know what's going to happen.
So now that I have all the materials for Flimsy Axe, I'm going to go somewhere where they're going to let me do this for free. So this is the resident service area by Nook Inc. And then they support all the residents on the island with their lives.
I like how proud they are of your accomplishment. I feel like Tom Nook's always proud of you.
So other functions of the resident service, Timmy would buy something that you don't need in the inventory. So we've mentioned wees on the island earlier, but if you want to clean it up, then you can clean them up and then sell it to Timmy. Or you can choose to leave them as well because, I mean, why not, right?
I kind of like it. It matches the rustic setting. You're on a deserted island. Having it look a little wild is kind of cool.
In contrast, I picked every weed on my island.
So as you can see, you can do a little shopping here too, and then you have the option to buy the tools, purchase the tools here as well. But I mean, you can basically, you'll have that freedom of whether if you want to buy them or if you want to collect the materials on the island and then make it yourself. So one of the new functions here is Nook Miles. So Nook Mile kind of works like the actual airline mileage programs. So when we moved out here on the airplane, you got miles for that. And then a lot of the activities that you do on the island, you also accumulate miles for that. We just made the flimsy axe, so we got miles credit for that as well. And then so there's so many ways to acquire these miles and then also use them as well. And then these miles, you'll be able to exchange them for items and other activities. So it's a new way of enjoying the game.
It is really nice that it feels like you can progress doing any kind of activity that you enjoy in Animal Crossing. On top of it just being a fun way for you to relax, you're making progress in the game. You're having a chance to earn some of those rewards.
And you can earn those rewards for doing things that you didn't always earn rewards for before, like even just picking weeds. Sure, it made your area more beautiful, but it didn't really give you anything else. But now you can earn miles for that and use them for something.
Since I now have the flimsy axe, I think I'm going to start collecting hardwood.
And here we can see just the variety. Collecting things has always been a part of Animal Crossing, but there's so many different types of collectible crafting materials now, even looking at the wood that you're chopping there. Every time you pick something up, you're going to wonder, okay, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to make with this next?
So as you can see, I can use this flimsy axe to collect hardwood, but since we have a limited amount of time today and there's a lot of hardwood to collect, I think I'm going to recruit Mr. Nogami here and have him help me out.
Right on.
So this is how I'm going to do this. On the NookPhone, there's an application called Call an Islander, and then when you call an item, you'll be able to call another resident on the island and then play together.
So since Nogami-san has a house on this island as well, he can come and help out. Nogami-san, I love your outfit. That's awesome.
So actually, to be able to play with your friend or family by sharing Joy-Con controllers is something that's very new to the Animal Crossing franchise. So in the previous titles, I mean, of course, you were able to watch each other play and then have fun that way. But with New Horizons, you're able to play together and then cooperate in a sense. And then so it's basically a whole new way of playing together.
And just as you're collecting this material here, looking at the wind blowing through the trees, the graphics, it's really just beautiful to watch, but I'm also really drawn to the sound effects here. Nogami-san, can you talk to us a little bit about the sound design for this game?
So there's a lot of things that we've experimented and then we've tried out for the users to have that immersive feeling when they're playing this game. And in order to achieve that from a sound perspective, we adapted this technique called Foley recording. And then what it essentially does is record a natural sound and then use it as a sound effect in the game. So we sometimes walked on sand to get that sound, or cut some grass from around the office and then walked on it to get that sound. Another thing that you probably noticed is that the leaves on the trees are kind of moving, and then this is actually expressing the wind on the island. So depending on how strong the wind is blowing, some of them sway a little bit harder.
And the sound of the wind is really beautiful, too. It's very relaxing and immersive.
So now I have a bench, but just having a single furniture is a little bit sad, so I think I'm going to make something else, too. So since I already have a campfire, why don't we make a bonfire? That looks a little bit bigger and more fun. So bonfire, you'll be able to make that with some wood and a campfire, which is an item. There are items where you will need another item to create. So there's a lot of variety in these recipes. So I'm going to change the leader to Mr. Nogami. As you can see, there's a little flag on top of Mr. Nogami's head, and then that shows that he's the leader, and then you'll be able to tell who'll be leading that gameplay. Okay, so since I already have a campfire, I'm going to pick up the wood, and then I'm going to go craft a bonfire on the workbench.
So that's one of the things that's really wonderful here for the first time in the Animal Crossing series, being able to play side by side at the same time with other folks who live on your island. This idea that you can have your different inventories, swap back and forth who's in charge, and then take advantage of that. You can actually have up to 8 players living on a single island, and 4 of them can play together this way just by sharing Joy-Con on a single system. There's also local wireless and online multiplayer that we're going to be able to talk about hopefully more later on. But with that, it can be 8 people all gathering on a single player's island to have the same kind of fun activity side by side.
Yeah, the trailer in the Nintendo Direct, if you saw that scene at the very end with all the different players there, that was actually made using that feature.
So since we now have a bonfire, we hunted a location. Ms. Kyoko hunted a location and then decided that around the tent would probably be the best place. And then so they're going to decorate this area. And then Ms. Kyoko also mentioned that there's a place an item and drop an item option, and then the players would be able to choose whether they want to place the furniture, like decorate the furniture, or just place the leaf. Okay, since we have the location and we have everything set up, I think I'm going to take a photo. So, of course, you'll be able to use the switch function, the switch camera to take a photo, but we also have a camera app on the NookPhone. And by using this camera app, you're able to select filters or zoom in and out, and then so you'll be able to take photos that you desire, that you can decorate a little bit more and have more freedom with. I think I'm gonna strike a pose and then take this photo.
And something that folks maybe if they're very sharp-eyed are noticing, there's a little sort of spout that's coming out of the sand not too far from you. We can't really show this too much yet, but there's actually clams living on the beach, and if you dig those up, you can craft fishing bait using clams. So
I think I saw some spout coming out here.
Oh, nice! Got it.
So DIY recipes, you'll be acquiring them through other animals, or when you acquire a new item, that's something that that you'll also be able to acquire, or you'll also be able to buy them at stores as well.
It might be, oh, by the way, what have you been making? What did I find? This is how I got this recipe. But it's a nice way to kind of share that knowledge and information as you play.
So as you can see, we've shown you some of the gameplay of New Horizons, and then you may think that a lot of this is close to being done, and yet there's a lot of elements that we still want to work on. So I'm sorry to ask, but if you would let us work a little bit longer and release this game on March 20th, 2020, we would very much appreciate it.
Well, I can certainly say based on the experience. Kyoko-san, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our viewers as well as we wrap up?
So we'll be asking you for a little bit more time in order for us to have you enjoy this desert life on an island for a very, very long time. So we're all working hard to release this game. So thank you very much for your understanding.